Hey folks, good afternoon. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's a beautiful afternoon today, sunny. Just finished my yard work. I'm heading to do some errands. So I was just talking to a friend of mine, just I think a few days ago. And what really is funny is that we have become so focused on certain aspect. And one of the things that we were talking about is why are people so unwavering to the point that they don't want to hear evidence that's been independently noted. Now, there's nothing wrong when somebody asks where it came from. I have no problem with that. But what came up to this discussion was that because there was a situation where a question was asked of me, and those people who know me will tell you I am very anal about evidence. Evidence is not the key, evidence is a tool. And what happened was somebody asked me a question, and because I do a lot of a lot of analytical work. One of the things that I always have been doing for 30 plus years is I provide the evidence, the bibliography in a sense. And what made a couple of my friends were laughing was that the person was really surprised that I wrote a paper answering the person's question like it was a dissertation. And I wrote it in a level that is a college level, 13th year student, or whatever it was. And I was writing. What made me laugh, and what my friends laugh, was that the way I write things, like the dissertation, the way I write, is the same way I wrote when I worked for the government. This is the way I was taught for 20 years. To write the way, like it's an essay, evidence-driven essay, things like that. And so what really made us laugh was that this person was very angry that I would write it like it was a college paper. The problem with that is college style paper with APA, with the formulation, that's a standard that I've been following for 25, 30 years within the government and within public sector, because the way I write is something that a lot of people are supposed to write. So when the question was about a certain thing, so the only way I know how to write is evidence driven, is the way, like if I was back studying law. And that's the thing we were all talking about. When people want conclusive answers, and somebody give you a conclusive answer with the reference, with the information, with the pages, the link, and things like that, and you're angry because somebody wrote a real documented paper with the dissertation style or whatever they were complaining, I have to ask, why are you angry? You wanted my side. I wrote it with all the evidence, all 20, 30, whatever reference was connected to that question, and I submitted it like I learned throughout my time in college. So the question I have with everyone is that when something like that happens, when somebody gives you evidence-driven information with the evidence itself, and the person writes it out like it is a white paper or a dissertation or a legal documentation, why do people get angry? He's not the first one. Believe me, I've had a lot of people say the same thing. I think, when I was at work one time, one of my bosses says, why do you write like you were in law school? Or why do you write like the person is in college? Or I said to one of my supervisors, like, This is supposed to be a documentation. I write it the best I can, and the way I write it is the way I learned to write. But the problem has become more and more crazy because the way I write is data driven, evidence driven, and there's people out there who don't like that. But when you start asking questions about prove my worth, prove my statement, and I do so, why are people still angry? The people who did laugh are people who knows me. Yeah, my wife even said it. You write like you are in college. Even my mother-in-law, my father-in-law says, "Why don't you write simple?" I said, "This is simple for me." So it might feel like it's a joke for people think I'm joking, but that's the way I write. But people are still angry because when I answer a question today for the last 25, 30 years, I write it like I am in college. Like I'm still in college, writing a paper, like writing a dissertation, writing a white paper, writing a legal briefs. This is the way I write. So if somebody submitted something like that, and let's just say you ask a question, and that person wrote a paper the way he or she went to college, and they provided you the evidence, and there's about more than 5-10 references in support of their statement that's independent driven, would you be angry? That's my question. That's the joke of my life the last few days, but in the end, it's part of life. So for now, you guys take care, stay safe, and do me a favor. If you have any questions about anything, how do you find out the answer? Do you do a deep dive like I do? Or do you just answer it, hope that the answer is right? So for now, like I said, have a nice day, stay safe, and keep smiling.